we go for launch.
5.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
4.
My friend, we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
This whole thing is insane.
3.
Quiet, please. I am analyzing.
Where's the kaboom?
2.
There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
1.
Someone once said space is dark and cold. Our job is to bring light, bring warmth, bring life to wherever we go. Is this a hit it situation?
It's whatever kind of adventure we want it to be.
This crew is a team, the finest Starfleet has to offer.
Indeed.
It's possible they don't know about us.
They know about us.
There is evil in this universe, as sure as there is good.
The choices you make in that chair, they are yours to make and yours to live with.
We await your orders, sir.
You don't trust me with your best friend?
You don't trust me with your baby brother. It's madness.
We have to stop this invasion. Prepare all weapons.
Get to the ship! We are going to find our way out of this together.
It's 1 in 1,000 we get it done right or don't blow ourselves up along the way.
I like those odds. We'll just turn it off before we blow up.
Give me 5. Now, down low.
Why would you do that?
Because you are too slow.
Greetings, my fellow galactic travelers, and welcome back to Planet 8. This is your mission commander Larry speaking to you from our hidden base. Chief Engineer Bob is here by my side as always in the command center, and circling Planet 8 in our orbital spy satellite is Reconnaissance Officer Karen. And we are back from our hiatus. Bob, freshly back from the Godzilla convention that was held out in San Francisco. We have Lord Blood-Rah with us, our friend Jeff, Walker up in the satellite, and we're going to just dive right into Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Some of us like it, some of us don't, some of us love it, some of us don't. And like I've always said, if you love something, love it. Don't be ashamed of it. Support it. That's what fandom's all about. That being said, WTF Paramount, what was this last season? Hey, look, okay, so myself personally, I love Anson Mount. I love Gregory Peck's grandson plays Spock. Ethan. Yeah, Peck. You know,
is Gregory Peck in this? I didn't see him.
His DNA is. They do a fine job, and my heartache is the legacy characters, Uhura and Kirk's brother, and at some point we're going to get into Khan's granddaughter and how that whole thing mishmashes with the timeline and with canon. And some folks on the panel are like, canon schmanon, which is fine. I had a discussion with someone at a tiki bar, Jeff, not unlike your own. And I'd never met this person before. And my friend said, oh, Larry does a podcast with his friends. And we got into Strange New Worlds. And my complaint, I forget what episode it was Christine Chapel, Nurse Chapel. And it's like, you know, they did this with her and she did that. And she knows Kung Fu and Jiu-Jitsu and she's a commando. But in the original series, well, she's just a one-dimensional character in the original series and didn't give her nothing to do. And she was very passionate for having never met me before, reading me the riot act and how Nurse Chapel has so much more to do. And I'm like, yeah. And when you watch original Trek, she's back down to that one-dimensional. My point is, you could have named her nurse or doctor or whoever. It didn't have to be Christine Chapel, and you could have developed the hell out of the character. Look, love or hate Star Trek Discovery, at least they were bold enough to create new characters. Okay, one of them was Spock's sister, and then, Pike eventually did show up with the Enterprise, but for the most part, Tilly and all those guys, they are original characters, and they developed some of them very well. And others,
yeah.
I don't want to, poo-poo things too much here. So, does someone want to say they love Strange New Worlds, or they enjoyed?
We can go up the ladder.
Okay.
I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I enjoy it a lot. I guess I'm a canon schmanon kind of guy, but I think it's interesting what they're doing with most of the characters. Contrary to whatever anyone's heard, I still think they are not leading up to Star Trek the original series or leading up to their version of Star Trek the original series. They're talking about doing, was it Star Trek the first year?
Year one.
Year one,
yeah.
And I think that, that again is going to be their version of, they're not going to just like take the original scripts and just make episodes like that. They're going to do their own spin, whether it's on stories or news stories or characters or what have you. They are staying somewhat in canon. They did say that you won't see Chekhov in Strange New Worlds because he didn't come in until second season of the original series. Sulu and McCoy maybe, but I don't know. This season kind of at times went off the rails a little bit, but I think it was creative decisions, and some of them, like the one episode, 4.5 Falcons. I thought it was a really good concept. Okay, they're gonna be turned into Vulcans. They can't turn back, and I love the fact that they were all different Vulcans, different versions of Vulcans, and Lon was basically Romulan, that other offshoot, and that was a great idea. I just think the execution wasn't what it could have been, and Pike was kind of overacting to the whole thing. But I think the episode with that featured Kirk, that really made me buy into that actor as being Kirk. It's okay, you're gonna go forward, you're gonna do year one, whatever. If that's the Kirk that we have to live with, I'm okay with that now, because he was great in that episode. And I know, we'll probably touch on all the different episodes that happened this season, but yeah, I mean, singing, puppets, whatever, just different ways of telling a story. And, even Star Trek, the original series, man, we sat through Trelane, and we sat through Spock's brain, and we sat through, Alice in Wonderland, and, Mud's Mud. We sat through that, with Scotty and McCoy and their, so, there's room for all types of storytelling, and I did enjoy this season, and wherever they're going with all these characters, it all boils down to where do they end up. Mm-hmm. They may go off on some tangent and then come back to somewhat where they should be for the series. But anyway, that was my overall opinion on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I overall really enjoy the series. You mentioned singing and puppet. I don't know about the puppet thing, but
Angel did puppets. That was an excellent episode when Angel became a puppet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. When in watching the series, I remember the episode where Spock and T'Pring changed personalities, and I thought, no, they're going to jump the shark, and they The episode was great. I thought they did it very well. Then the musical came up, and I thought, oh no, I'm gonna hate this. And I'll be damned, I loved it. I thought it was great because they even with all of that silliness in it, they continued with the character development. They did a musical, and the rule of a musical is you sing when your emotions are so high you can no longer speak. And that's what they did with this episode, and I thought they pulled it off very well. I don't like Lower Decks, so I thought I was fully prepared to hate that crossover episode. I really enjoyed it. So the first 2 seasons, I thought, even with when they would go out on a limb, they still, each episode had enough saving grace in it to make it work. This 3rd season was very uneven, not only from episode to episode, I mean within episodes. There were things in each episode that I thought, well, that's great. That's a great concept. Like you mentioned, 4.5 Vulcans. I thought that was a great concept. I also thought it was about 2 or 3 rewrites away from being a good episode. They threw some things in there that were just nonsensical, needlessly cruel, I thought. Unexplained, or they would try to explain it in a quick throwaway line that just didn't work. But I also think that this season has, to me, what was not only the best episode of one of the best episodes of Strange New Worlds, but I would put it in the top 10 of all the Star Trek series.
Oh boy.
What is Starfleet?
The documentary episode?
The documentary episode. I loved that episode because I thought it was very Star Trek. It starts out asking the question, what is Starfleet? Why is the Federation different from any other star empire? And then the story itself, I thought, was very, very Star Trek. Does this alien species have the right to basically enslave this creature, manipulate its emotions to turn it into a weapon? And ultimately, they don't. That's one of my favorite episodes. They also, Terrarium was a very good episode. The one with the Borg. Very good episode up until the end with that damn Metron. The Metron was unnecessary. In my opinion, we didn't need the Metron. If they had just beamed out and then spent just another scene exploring, the relationship now with Leon and Ortegas, after Leon just impulsively shot the Gorn. I thought that would have been great. That Metron was not needed.
What if the Metron sang? Would that have helped?
What's that?
What if the Metron sang? Would that have helped?
No.
No. I think the Metron was in there because he has the one line like, "You will not remember this." Yeah, and it almost seems like somehow it's leading up to them not remembering all this Gorn stuff. Because, I mean, when Kirk fights the Gorn, it's like everyone, is like, ooh, look at that. And he had no idea what it was. They didn't all go, oh, it's a Gorn,
Right.
So somehow they've got to work something in there where they don't remember all this Gorn war and everything else that was going on.
See, that's a great point. But they should have done that with Khan's granddaughter. And they should have done that with Trelane's father. And they should have done, you know what I mean? It's like, at what point does the canon disrupt the storytelling that they're trying to?
Well, with Leon, I mean, if you look at the episode Space Seed, at what point would it have made sense for any of the characters to say, oh yeah, I knew your great-granddaughter?
Yeah,
it wouldn't have,
Spock. We served with her on the Enterprise, and she taught you how to dance.
Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Instead, when they meet Khan, they're like, "Who is this mysterious man? The databanks from 1999, the eugenic wars, are fragmented, and we're going to have to research who he is."
Well, when they met him, they didn't think he was Khan Noonien Singh.
They didn't know who he was.
Spock found it, right? Spock said, "This is Khan Noonien Singh. This has to be Khan Noonien Singh." But to throw in, oh yeah, we served with her granddaughter. I mean, to get rid of all of that, she didn't have to be a Khan. I will absolutely agree with that.
No, she didn't have to.
Absolutely agree with that. She didn't have to be related to Khan.
But she never says on the series, like, hey, my great-grandfather or whatever. And then, okay, so she has the same name. Does that necessarily mean
she mentions
necessarily assume that she was his granddaughter?
She mentions that she's an augment at some point, yeah.
Right. Why couldn't she be McPherson's granddaughter? Right? McPherson being one of Khan's crew members, he pats him on the back. McPherson, Lopez.
Yeah, and okay.
Right?
Yeah, okay, that would have been interesting. That would have been interesting, yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, her presence indicates that there probably is more awareness of what happened and who the players were with the eugenics war. So it to me anyway, having her running around with that surname just means like they should be more aware of what actually happened. Whereas in the Space Seed episode, it's sort of like, oh, we have some history, but we don't know the complete history. But
unless it's like
you're serving with them, the descendants.
Unless it's a dark family secret that they just don't talk about. My great grandfather was a warlord. Yeah.
Bob wins the night.
That's right. She talked about
pretty good.
Enough,
Jeff.
Yeah.
What
What's up?
I know I'm sorry, I've been very quiet. This is all interesting, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to add to this. The thing I'm coming at this as I wouldn't say that I'm a Star Trek fan. I would say that I watched a few of the original series, which I absolutely don't like. In a whole, I don't really care for the original series. Okay. I watched some of the things that came afterward, and and I've seen a lot of the movies at the movie theater and that sort of thing. But Strange New Worlds, when it came out, something about it made me love Star Trek.
That's interesting.
And it has brought me to, after watching Strange New Worlds, it's like, oh, Pike was in season 2 of Discovery. Well, I should watch Discovery then. And we sat and we watched all of Discovery. And a lot of the newer things, I wasn't a giant fan of the Next Generation, but I loved a lot of the movies, and the Picard series. I was ready to kind of write that off after the second season of that, and then the third season came on, and it's like, oh, this is different. Yep. Now we're talking. It's like this is what I wanted the whole thing to be. So,
well, did you when you watched that third season of Picard, did it hit you like it hit me that? Damn, this should have been a Riker series all along.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could easily have seen that. Yeah. Oh, and I'm absolutely in love with the Titan, that ship and that show.
Ship. Yeah.
And absolutely love it.
I want to say, you guys, what I love, many things I love about Jeff, but he will have lunch or we'll have.
What's not to love, Larry? I'm a treasure. I keep telling you, I'm a treasure.
We'll talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and he'll be like, oh, and I'll be like, oh, I'll be damned. Lord Blood-Rah said about the same thing. He really enjoyed, the story. And God love Bob, because, Karen, Bob, and I will text about, let's talk about the podcast, or let's, and we'll plan things out. And we'll talk about Strange New Worlds. And Bob's always like, oh, but Buffy, had an episode where they did this. And
they had the musical, yeah.
That's
one of my daughter's very favorite episodes of television as a whole.
And
the Buffy musical.
And there you go. And I can't see past I guess we all, and Jeff, that was a wonderful explanation there. We all have a part of Star Trek that we love, or maybe not so much. I can't stand Enterprise. And when it first came out, Karen was like, "Oh, they're throwing blue glue gel on each other, and what kind of a uniform is she wearing?" And then, a decade or more later, Karen's like, "Oh, this Enterprise, I'm rewatching it. It's really good." And I'm like,
"Me too."
Yeah,
who took over your body?
We're midway through it again too, so
it's good to be able to change. It's good to be able to re-examine things and come up. I mean, obviously not everything on Enterprise is great. There's still issues with it. And it did get a lot better. I mean, unfortunately, it got better in the 4th season.
Exactly.
Manny Cotto took it over, and then, they didn't give them any more seasons, but there were still some good shows in every season. It just, you had to kind of choose and pick which ones you watched. But I don't know. I've been a lifelong Star Trek fan, and I, Larry and I have talked about this. Even in like the worst Star Trek, there's usually something you can enjoy. You watch Star Trek 5 and it's like, oh my God, it's kind of a mess. But then you have the scenes where like the, Spock and Bones and, Kirk are together and they're hanging out. And, there's one of the best scenes, I think, in any Star Trek movie is when Kirk and Spock and Bones are facing Cybok, and they have to face the things that happened to them in their past. Also, there's always like stuff that I appreciate in Star Trek. I do struggle though with Strange New Worlds, because I feel like some of you said, they have a good cast, they have good actors. I'm a little iffy on Ethan Peck, but I think part of that is the way they write Spock. I kind of feel like they write him as either kind of someone to make fun of, or as like a juvenile trying to have, adolescent romances, and it doesn't work for me. But they have overall, they have a good cast, and certainly they have tons of money to throw at it to make it look good. It looks very, very nice and everything. But I feel like they're trying to be everything except Star Trek. We get all these episodes, and we've talked about like Buffy and I think these folks are taking their inspiration from Buffy and Supernatural, and from a lot of really much more like fantasy shows, or sort of more teen fantasy, young adult, whatever shows. And that's what it feels
actually
like.
A really good point, because maybe it's just that it's not being made for us.
And that could be.
It's targeting those tweens and teens
that's
and things.
what they're doing. I mean, Star Trek used to have a wider audience, and maybe what they're doing now is just going for that.
Or they're building that next generation of fans.
It doesn't feel like science fiction particularly, or even the Star Trek brand of science fiction. It feels much more fantasy-like to me, and it's just lacking something. And I wish they would kind of go in the other direction.
I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like they probably are doing this show for people who have never seen the original series. I would guess most people watching this, may not even go back and watch the original series, or have seen the original series. So I don't know, which kind of gives them the authority, quote unquote, to, well, we can monkey around a little bit with this and that, so not to throw it off too much, but it's like, 10% of the people watching the show are big fans of the original series. So, we're not writing it for them.
Yeah.
It's like they don't, the music they're putting on the radio today is not intended for me. So,
Yeah.
I wish they'd write more Beatles tunes these days.
There you go.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds is Star Trek for today's audience. And I think it's captured that spirit fairly well. I do wish, and I think it's harder, probably, well, is it in today's political atmosphere to be as analytical about society as the original series was, to make as many points about society as the original series did. And in the middle of my saying that, I think about Andor, which could have been ripped from today's headlines. You know,
Absolutely. That is a fantastic point. And I'll say, Lieutenant Jasmine can't stand Star Trek either, and I love her not as. Well, I love her more than Jeff, but Jeff, it's okay. You know, the original series is not for everyone.
I'll get over it.
The Next Generation told some really, you know, contemporary for the time, you know, androgyny. You know, there was that episode where Riker fell in love with this person from another world that was neither male nor female. And, you know,
that was their attempt at talking about gay people, which was as far as Roddenberry or anybody else was willing to go at the time.
Right. And I don't know if Roddenberry was still alive overseeing the scripts at that point. I can't remember what season it was, but The Measure of a Man was a great episode as well, where it talked, you know, was Data sentient or not? And what are the rights that sentient people, individuals, beings have or don't have within the Federation? Or, you know, Deep Space Nine talked about homelessness and racism and, you know, some really, really hard-hitting episodes in Deep Space Nine. What was that?
I was just thinking about the drumhead.
The drumhead.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, in Strange New Worlds, you had Ad Astra Aspera.
Yes.
Where number one was put on trial simply for being
who she is.
Augment.
Right.
Which I still don't quite understand. Her entire species uses augmentation. I don't quite understand it fully. But still,
weird.
I thought it was a very good episode. I thought the first episode was very good and very.
What I will say with regards to Strange New Worlds is the way they started out as part of Discovery and how they acted, how the characters acted. I fully supported, and I thought we needed a separate series from Discovery to explore Pike's command on the Enterprise, Spock's development into the Spock that we eventually, you know, come to know and love. And then all these little, you know, we met his wife, and, you know, there was a comment, I can't remember what Jeff had said, but I would always bring up, like, you know, legacy characters and how, you know, what they did doesn't equal or line up with the original series. He's like, you're just really stuck on that, you know, canon stuff, Mark, or something to that effect. And yeah, I am.
I'm a stickler on canon, but character-wise, yes, I am. You know, a character cannot, well, first of all, I recognize a character can develop from these early days on into what they become, but some characters, I don't think just couldn't translate. You mentioned Nurse Chapel.
Yeah.
That Nurse Chapel couldn't translate into today because we recognize nurses aren't just the obedient servants of doctors today. And that's really all she was. And I think she was brought into this series solely for her relationship with Spock.
Oh yeah.
That's the only reason why she's there. And kudos to them for making her a full character and making her not just, you know, the old-fashioned nurse stereotypical character, but being a genetics expert. And I like the fact that they brought in Roger Corby. We know how that ends, but I like the fact that they brought in Corby. And
I was waiting for Rock, though.
Christine!
I was waiting for Rock, though.
he's
Here's the
in next
equation.
season. But Lord Blood-Rah, why call her? This person in the tiki bar. When I brought up the point, yeah, but when you watch the original series, she goes back to that one-dimensional. Why not?
Yeah.
Like with Khan's granddaughter, whatever. Just give them a different name.
No,
What happens
character.
if in the next season, Nurse Chapel goes on an away mission and smacks her head on a rock and forgets how to do kung fu?
That's sad.
It's like,
I mean,
there could
would
anything could
satisfy
happen
me,
to this
but-
character that would take her back down. Look at what was it, Charlie X, where he wiped out all of Uhura's memories. And
that was Nomad.
She had to learn everything all over again.
Oh, right, yeah.
That was Nomad.
Nomad. Yeah.
Changeling.
Nomad,
Point,
yeah.
Point taken.
So maybe Nomad will show up in the next series and wipe Chapel.
It's just, I think they're drowning in, this is the same thing that has bothered me about all of Star Trek in the last, I don't know how many years. They're drowning in this need to somehow be connected with the original series.
Yeah.
And yet push the original series away from them. It's this weird desire, like, oh yes, we want to bring all these characters from the original series, but the original series was hokey and cheesy, and we don't want to be like the original series. And it's just like, then make new characters. For God's sake, just make new characters. It's constant sick thing being set in the past, being prequels to the original series.
I agree.
For God's sakes, could we just carry on from the end of Voyager and whatever? And I'd much rather see everything set in the future, where we don't have to talk about canon all the time and well, this person Scotty should be older than Kirk, and blah blah blah, and stop making me who always has to complain about these things. And be original,
Right.
But instead, we have
that's
Uhura
like
and
Discovery.
Chapel and Scotty.
Well, Discovery took place
Exactly.
early in the canon, but then they said, well, to hell with this, and they shot the Discovery 3,000 years in the future or whatever, and then they were totally free.
Well, that was purely the fault of the producers. Discovery was supposed to be, each season was supposed to be a closed
an
season
anthology
in a different, an anthology in a different time space.
Would have been
And they
interesting.
started with this one, which was absolutely ridiculous. I would so much rather they had started in the future. All of these canon problems would have disappeared. Yeah, but
how come they never did any more with the technology of that drive
mycelial
that the Discovery
network?
had?
They explained it.
If it's taking place, back when Pike
Right.
was in the Enterprise and stuff. How come they don't have this technology still?
They explained it in that wrap up at the end of the
Right.
series.
That they had to
Some
keep
way.
it secret or something for some
Right.
reason.
In some way. Yeah, I was
I
like,
don't know.
Secret
at the end of the
drive.
series, it's the end
It's
of
the
it.
same reason Kara Thrace Starbuck on Battlestar Galactica just disappeared. There was no
Was she an
explanation.
angel?
And then she came back.
No, the last episode, the
Oh,
final,
right. Yep.
She
Yeah.
just kind of walked away.
Just disappeared.
But I mean, as far as canon goes, I am a stickler for canon, which is why one of the things that most drives me crazy about this series is what they did to the Gorn. I mean, you talk about Chapel not needing to be Chapel. These didn't need to be the Gorn.
No.
Right.
Any other species, anything else.
Yeah.
These are not the Gorn. I fully thought that when Patel had her DNA infused with Gorn, I thought, she's going to be the mother of the new Gorn race. Or I thought that maybe these Gorn were an offshoot of the Gorn race that we know, and they were going to come attack them, and something like that.
Right.
I don't understand how that fits in. And like you said, for the episode, not Space Seed, Arena, it makes Kirk look like an idiot, unless they do some mind wipe thing, which I don't know if they're going to do. But it makes him look like an idiot. They beam down to Cestus 3, which is on the border of the Gorn hegemony, and it's destroyed. The first thing Kirk should say is scan for Gorn ships, scan for Gorn weapon signatures, all of that. It's like, then they discover the Gorn. It's like, oh, what are these? That's a Gorn.
And it makes no sense. It makes no sense that Metron showed up in the terrarium episode.
No.
And they imply like, oh, we've been following Gorn and human interactions. That's not what happened in the arena at all. What happened is the two ships flew into Metron space.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, we have these hostile species here.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what to do with them. So, and then it doesn't make any sense.
What's their Federation Gorn fetish? I don't get that. Why? Why follow those two? Yeah.
Well, by the time they hit the end of, was it the abbreviated season 5, the Gorn will be members of the Federation.
Sure, why not?
No, they can't be.
Boy.
They'll dance together.
I tell you.
Yeah, they'll all be puppets.
Right.
But no, there was one of the producers, I think, was commenting that at some point the Gorn would evolve closer to what we saw in the original series.
It's like the Klingons in Discovery too, so different at the beginning of Discovery.
We had Klingon zombies
toward the end, toward the second, third season of that, they were like, okay, they're starting to kind of look like they normally do. But
I mean, there's an in-show explanation for that that's so convoluted. It's fun.
So sometime in the next season, they're going to develop zippers up their backs.
Yeah.
Bob brought up a good point. Klingon zombies and what was the
I
Star
thought that
Wars?
was great.
Ahsoka,
I thought
we
that
had
was a lot of fun.
Stormtrooper zombies.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was a fun episode, I thought. Yeah. Shuttle to Ken Forey. Yeah, that was. I thought that was a fun episode.
It's like, what's worse than Klingons? Klingon zombies.
Klingon zombies. One thing, and a lot of my, well, some of my criticisms of Strange New Worlds are really nitty gritty and technical. But there's a scene in Shuttle to Ken Forey where they have phasers. Spike and M'Benga have phasers. The zombies are coming out of this doorway towards them. And M'Benga says, set your phaser to explode. Why? It's only good once if it explodes. You have a phaser. You could set that phaser to disintegrate all of them. Do that. And that made no sense to me. There are little technical things like that make no sense to me. And again,
maybe she's not as smart as you think she
is.
is.
Huh?
Maybe she's not as smart as you think she is.
Who?
Chapel.
No, this was M'Benga.
Oh, M'Benga. Okay. Well, maybe he's not as smart as you think.
Who was a warrior? He should know better.
There's a lot of dumb warriors out there, I tell you.
The phasers seem a lot more like projectile weapons now than beam weapons.
Pulse weapons.
Have you noticed that? Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know why.
Well, look at what the phasers looked like in Mantrap. Like when they set it to stun, it was almost like a pulse beam.
There was a ping sound.
Yeah, there was.
Effect.
Right.
Like a ricochet.
Right.
Yeah.
For the good old days.
Well, it's hard too, because I mean, when you're doing a prequel series 60 years after the series that comes after you, and you have to, how do you make the technology fit the time without making it look 60 years more advanced than,
they've done a pretty good job with that overall. I mean, they got rid of the holographic communications just because Pike doesn't like them. That brings us to a space adventure hour, which within that episode, I mean, talk about highs and lows. Oh my God. I like the general concept of it. I like the fact, okay, they're experimenting with putting these things on ships in actual tactical, out there being deployed. Okay, I like that. Why the overly mean, overly just ridiculous parody of Star Trek?
I know.
I mean, Galaxy Quest did it better and more respectfully. This looked like Star Trek if Ed Wood did it. You know, I mean, why? I don't understand why they did that.
It was very mean-spirited.
Very mean-spirited.
In my opinion.
I thought so too.
And I was surprised that Jonathan Frakes directed.
I was too.
That episode.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then they overcompensated with that speech by Uhura about how much this show means to fans.
Right.
I'm like, okay, here it is. Then that speech went on so long, I'm like, okay, now you're self-aggrandizing. It's like, what is it? Do you hate the original series, or is it something deeply...
And apparently they hated Roddenberry as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to believe that the character that Pike was doing was Roddenberry, but wow.
Yeah.
And the Shatner.
Oh, yeah.
But Roddenberry's son is like one of the executive producers on the series. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again,
I would question how involved he is. You know, it might be in name only. I mean, you know, and there are several executive producers.
Yeah.
My understanding is the showrunner is the one who's out there every day figuring, you know, things out. But yeah, his name's attached.
Yeah. I thought overall that was a good episode, but man, that if they could have just reshot those scenes that were supposed to be the old science fiction show. And why Kirk? Kirk is to the point where why is he on Pike's ship? Get off of the ship. Why are you on the ship all the time? You got your own ship.
All the time.
Well, and I'm curious because Jeff and I didn't get to talk about this episode, but coming into this without, you know, really watching a lot of original Trek, were you entertained? Did you think, what are they doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, I picked it up that they were doing a spoof of the original series, but yeah, it did seem a little overly done. You know, like they took it, you know, to 11 they didn't need to make it as goofy as they did, but I enjoyed the series. You know, I enjoyed that episode.
I did.
And apparently they didn't like Lucille Ball either because they killed her off pretty quickly too.
I know that's a good point too. Sad.
Yeah. No. Overall, yeah, I did enjoy that episode. You mentioned the sailot that ate its tail with Kirk's first command. That for me too. But that was the first time I bought that actor as Kirk. That I was like, okay, yeah,
I did like that episode.
He did a great job.
That was very good.
Yeah,
and the fact that he had that doubt.
Yes.
You know.
That's right.
And
that's Kirk before the swagger.
Yeah.
I like that. You mentioned Spock. You mentioned them treating Spock like an adolescent. I think emotionally, that's what they're going for. I think this is the time in Spock's life where he kind of says it in what is Starfleet. In Starfleet, he's free to explore his human side. And he's doing that. And I think that between him losing Christine and having this rebound romance with Leon, I'm going to make a prediction that in the next season and a half, Leon is going to die. And she's going to die in Spock's arms. And that's going to make Spock say, to hell with human emotions. I'm done with it. And he's going to become the Spock that we know from the series, denying his human half, denying his human emotions, because he can't handle it. He can't handle those emotions. He'll of course later evolve into the Spock in the movies.
Right.
But in the series, he can't handle it. He doesn't want the pain.
Will they have consummated at that point the relationship?
Spock and Leon?
Yeah.
I think they already have.
You think so?
I don't know.
Maybe.
But the problem I have with all this is I think that I can only buy this if this is an alternate timeline. Because, I know this sounds super nerdy, but if you look at Spock I have to admit, I have I have a lot of fondness for Spock because growing up, it was like somebody I could kind of relate to. Not that I had pointed ears or was super smart, but
Now,
just
Walker,
that
is
kind
that Nimoy, Quinto, or Peck? Which Spock?
there is no question there. Okay.
That's right, Quinto.
So,
Percent.
but you think about it when we see him on the Enterprise, and the thing that kind of bothers me is I know I've heard them say, well, you know, you look in the cage and he sees the plant move and he smiles, and so we know he had emotion. It's like, God, you can't base the character off of a failed pilot where he was not a developed character. At that point in time, the emotionless person was number one. It was not Spock. So that bothers me, number one. For two, if you think about the series, we see like in This Side of Paradise, when he is, has the spores invade his system and he becomes emotional and he's with Lila Kalomi. She had been someone earlier in his life before he, became part of Kirk's crew, where she wanted to become romantically involved with him, but he couldn't bring himself to do that even earlier on in his life. And I just feel like, I think even early on, because of his Vulcan upbringing, I don't think that he was equipped to have all these romances and so on and so forth. I don't
that speech in the Naked Time, Walker, where he goes in the conference, he breaks down and he's like, I never got to tell my mother I loved her. I never,
Yeah, because I think he has always been emotionally closed off, and I just don't buy all this romantic stuff. I think it's a lot of wish fulfillment on the part of the writers because they want to have all these romantic things going on.
Well, they didn't even start it because look at Spock and Uhura in the movies, in the J.J. Abrams movie.
I mean, that's a whole nother alternate universe thing. Like, who can we have hook up? Because everybody's thinking about how can we have everybody hooking up? Because
Scotty and Uhura in Star Trek V.
I know. I was going to say
that's the worst.
The thing is, for me, Spock was more Spock-like at the tail end of Discovery than he is now in Strange New Worlds. It's and I guess they're trying to explore his duality or.
In This Side of Paradise, after he had the spores flushed out, when Kirk was like trying to make him angry and get him to help him take over the ship, at the end of the episode, they ask him about how are you doing or whatever, and he said, for the first time in my life, I was happy. So if that was the only time when he was able to, emotionally express himself and feel happy, it kind of goes against everything that's happening in these Strange New Worlds episodes. And again, I'm not a stickler for everything has to line up in canon, but Spock's path through life, I feel like he was just very, very closed off most of his life. And then we see, eventually in Star Trek The Motion Picture, he finally starts to feel like he can integrate his human and Vulcan.
There were still pieces, though. The Romulan commander, when they stole the cloaking device, I felt for her.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, not in love, maybe. I mean, it was a mission, but he regretted. He didn't think he was going to see her again. She beamed out with him. When he discovers that Kirk is actually alive, not dead after the
he has emotions. He's expressing them. I'm just saying I have a hard time seeing him.
No, but they were
jumping from bed to bed, basically.
Special moments in the series. It wasn't episode after episode after episode.
Right.
And when he sees Kirk's alive after the Ponfar, he's like, Jim, Captain. It's and Bones got to say, well, it's Spock. It looks like it.
In a pig's
the Cloudminders too. He falls for
right.
Not falls for, but is attracted to what's her name?
Droxine.
Droxine. Yeah. Yes, that's it.
But
it's an interesting point. Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Look, if anything, again, those of you who are watching this or listening, if you're listening, you need to go onto YouTube and watch because we all look real good tonight. But if you're watching this or listening to this, let us know what you guys think of Strange New Worlds, the original series, the next gen, whatever.
Let us know
We
if
like
you think we're full of crap.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say, Lord Blood-Rah, the episode with Kirk, and the Farragut and
The Sail Out Witted Tale.
yes, thank you. Talks to Pike at the end of
Yes.
the episode. That was a damn good scene, and I thought it was a
Mhm.
very good episode. I would call that a Star Trek episode. And
Yeah.
I guess part of my hang up, with no disrespect to Buffy or The Walking Dead, or there are a lot of genre films, horror, science fiction, fantasy. This is a 50+ year legacy of storytelling. And yeah, you know what? We had Spock's brain. And like Karen had said, there's always little nuggets. For me, Spock's brain, it's at the end where McCoy and Spock are bickering back and forth what nerve to attach and what, okay, doctor, yes, my vocal cord, corny as hell, but it's developing this relationship which meant so much to me as a viewer, watching then and rewatching now. It just has that connection for me.
Well, even back in the original series, they could do they had Kirk and Spock dealing with Nazis, had them in the Old West, had them dealing with gangsters. Like you said, they're doing a little cutesy thing on Mud's planet with Mud's. Yeah, exactly. So many of those things that in and of themselves are silly, but they told a good story within them. That's what I felt about the musical episode. I thought that's a damn silly conceit to have them sing. But within that episode, it was about Spock's heartbreak for Christine leaving, about her happiness about leaving. Meanwhile, they're dealing with this weird thing that makes them sing constantly. I thought that every silly thing that they've introduced before the third season, they handled pretty well. And I thought that 4.5 Vulcans was a good concept, but I really wish they had taken more time with it and explained more things. I liked the Vulcan DNA, or however they made the Vulcan. I guess it was DNA. Would have. And I like that it brought out their traits more so. I liked that. And you mentioned Pike overacting in that episode. I thought that was part of his traits because he is a compassionate man. So I looked at that as this is the Vulcan half in rigid control of his emotions. That's why he was yelling all the time. That's why he was so stiff. That's why he was so cleaning all the time, and because he's got this battle going on with the Vulcan half trying to keep down Pike's natural warmth and compassion and emotions.
Well, plus they took his hair to like the nth degree.
Yeah, since when does DNA do that? Does DNA affect your hairstyle? That was.
I need some DNA, man. I'm thinning up here.
I think the problem I had with that, and it's because I overthink things, is how much of being a Vulcan is your DNA and how much is it growing up Vulcan and eating Vulcan cuisine and going to Vulcan school and learning about Vulcan culture and your katra, and to simply stick yourself with some miracle whip and well, now I will be the logical Vulcan, and then none of them wanted to go back to being human. That in and of itself is un-Vulcan and not logical.
Yeah, but I think it's more like, it makes you physically, Vulcan, but in your mind, whatever your concept of what a Vulcan is, is kind of the personality they took on.
They
It's like that, you know, it's like their personality plus their concept of a Vulcan molded who they were or who they became.
They had some hand-wavy excuse for why they were all logical, and it had something to do with Spock's, I don't know, persona or something. But what I didn't, and which I still think, again, we're going in fantasy land, but what I don't excuse is why they all became elitist and to some degree racist. I mean, they, and we've seen some elitism in Vulcans before, but this was really terrible because these people should know better. I mean, they work with Spock, and they didn't hold these views beforehand. So why should they have these views afterwards, right?
Sorry, cameo.
Experience. So yeah, and it was that really bothered me.
Excellent point. And Cybok, 100% Vulcan, yet he chose to,
because they're not programmed by at birth. I mean, it's not a genetic thing to be
and look at the first Vulcan. I don't know if they gave him a name for First Contact, and he reaches out to what's his name? Not Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., but
Ephraim Cochrane.
Cochrane, thank you. Right? Some kind of fancy. He shakes his hand, and they end up forging this friendship. I mean, if Vulcans were that anal, I don't know. Again,
that's a big part of Spock's upbringing, though, is that he was shunned. He was told your human instincts are wrong and you should be Vulcan. You should,
Well, he was bullied to the point where he, revealed in this series, would cut himself, right?
Yes. And in the very next episode, I didn't have a problem with that. I thought, okay, they're trying to really bring home the amount of pain he grew up with. What I did have a problem with was the next episode being 4.5 Vulcans. They made light
Fun of it,
of his pain. That I had a big problem with. In 4.5 Vulcans, I liked the fact that they, as soon as they got hit with the DNA, their emotions skyrocketed. They couldn't handle it. It dropped them down to the floor. They couldn't handle that. A more interesting episode would have been how you now wrangle them and educate them to be Vulcan by the time they need to get to this planet that for some reason only deals with Vulcans. By the way, there was no Vulcan ship that could have got there. What?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting that they did the whole mission like before the credits even rolled at the beginning of the show.
It wasn't about them. They do that a lot.
It's like, oh, they're back already.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Then it was about.
Yeah, whereas the original series, that would take up a whole entire hour.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, Jeff, what did you think of that episode, having watched, certain movies and things, and probably the only Vulcan you really knew about was Spock and maybe his father.
Yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit, and in listening to you guys talk, it brings up some things that I hadn't thought about before, which is it's really interesting. And to me, I'm looking at every episode as, am I enjoying what I'm watching? And generally the answer is yes. So that's good enough for me, ultimately. I have to say something to Karen. I don't know that that anybody is watching specific episodes going, well, I don't know, does Spock's reaction to this match up with how his reaction is in this particular episode, or down the road, kind of a thing. I bet half the people that are writing these things haven't even watched the entire original
that's
series.
the problem.
Right,
for me anyway.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, but and I haven't seen all the episodes either. I've seen, you know, a few here and there. I've seen, you know, what I remember seeing, you know, back when I was a kid on Channel 50 after school and things. But you know, it at the time it didn't really mean all that much to me. I really enjoyed, you know, when the first movie came out, you know, sure, you know, seeing the Enterprise, you know, seeing the Enterprise in space dock and Spock going, you know, to the, you know, landing his little shuttlecraft and stuff on the back of the Enterprise and coming in and stuff, you know, and I was in tears, absolutely, you know, but yeah, the original series doesn't hold any real importance for me, ultimately.
And I think that's why Strange New Worlds works so well. You know, I won't speak for Karen, but original Star Trek is part of my DNA. I mean, I have the fondest memories as a child, you know, watching and emulating, you know, my heroes at the time, and then reading about how they made the series and, you know, where the actors went between that and the motion picture, this whole, you know, thing. And so that's, look, like I said before, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, you create brand new characters, brand new adventures.
Yeah.
Reference.
That's the trouble you run into is how are they going to, because in this, as I recall, the Enterprise they're on now is actually bigger than the Enterprise that Kirk has in the original series. So, I mean,
it looks a lot slicker too. I'll give them
I
that.
mean, it looks sleeker, and I think if you put a, like, model kit wise anyway, that's where I base everything. Everything is based on model kits for me. But if you put a 1/500th scale original series Enterprise next to the 1/500th scale Strange New Worlds Enterprise, the Strange New Worlds Enterprise is bigger.
Is it bigger? I thought it was about the same.
Well, think about the size of the bridge and like Pike's quarters.
And you know, it's like poor, you know, Dr. McCoy's
sick bay,
you know, medical area, you know, was like 3 walls and a single bed or 2 beds, and you know, it's like they've got a giant room, you know, for this, you know, in this one.
Oh, they have an actual medical bay.
Yeah.
So there's like a dozen beds in there and all kinds of stuff. Everything's way bigger.
Just to go up on a
I mean, it's way bigger, it's way sleeker looking, and I don't know, it seems like you know, to get to where the original series was, they'd have to kind of dumb everything down a little bit, you know, or not so much dumb it down, but I don't know. It seems like they can do so much more with even like a tricorder or something in this than they can with, you know, than they can on the original series. So.
That's why I think they're not leading up to the original series. They're leading up to their version of the original series.
Well,
exactly.
That's kind of like splitting hairs, though. I mean, there's still the intent there to do their own version, essentially, of the original series. They've got almost all the characters, and they've got the ship. So it's sort of like whether they, you know, it will never be the original series, but they're going to do their version of it.
Well, they're not intending it to be. I mean, they have the concept and they have the characters, but they also have the freedom to do it the way they want. I mean, otherwise, why not just go back and watch the original Star Trek? I mean, any remake, it's like, why remake something unless you're going to do it slightly different?
Or make a series.
It's like the American Godzilla, right?
Yeah, well, some people, I talked to somebody this weekend that loved that movie.
They're out there.
I told them, sorry, it's crap, but
there you go.
It wasn't made for Godzilla fans.
Yeah.
Is that the one from the whatever the 90s or the early
Broderick.
Devlin
the Matthew Broderick one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
So
well, I hope they got you right,
Bob. And when that came out, I heard the same thing that we're kind of saying here. It's like, well, why did you call it Godzilla? Why didn't you call it any other monster name? You know, I don't know
Yeah.
why you had to call it Godzilla.
I
And it's
agree.
like, well, because there's a
fandom
built-in
out there.
audience for that's going to go see a
Mhm.
Godzilla movie that wouldn't necessarily go see something that was called Gigantic Monster Attack or something.
But
What was the name
you
of the
know, as a
series?
Godzilla fan, I saw it once and I never bought the DVD. So would they have made more money making the giant Gila monster part 2 or whatever?
Yeah.
And you know, would people have seen it more and bought more merch? I don't know.
I don't know.
But again,
Bob, I hope
yeah,
you're right. I
but
hope
like I
this is
say,
like a Kelvin universe that is not part of canon, and then they can put a young Scotty. They could put Lotka's wife as his mentor. You know, putting a telephone in the Enterprise
I
because they
can't
don't.
understand a damn thing she says.
Oh,
yeah, it's
failure.
difficult between the dialect, I guess, or accent, or whatever you want to
Dialect.
call it, and she kind of mumbles her way through. It's
Pipita.
yeah, it's crazy,
like
but
If
again,
Andy
getting back,
Kaufman came on the show, I'd watch that.
but getting back to what we were talking about before we got derailed by a terrible Godzilla. Again,
making a point.
you know, why remake something if you're just going to do it? Psycho, there was a version of Psycho where the guy took the original script, the original camera angles, the original everything, and just reshot it.
It was ridiculous.
Why bother? Just watch the original.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to remake something, you have to bring something new to it.
Well, and
They're not remaking it. They wrote completely new scripts.
Right. Well,
they're
but
taking
I mean,
pieces.
they're leading up to year one.
Let's do Friday the 13th and bring in Norman Bates. You know,
I'd watch that.
But
I'd watch.
But the important thing is, Bob, if it works for you,
oh yeah,
then that's good. You're entertained. You're having, you know, that's what fandom is.
And then I heard that one of the new movies that Star Trek movies that may be made is Star Trek Origins. What do they mean by that? What, is it going to be set today? What
I don't
is it going to be the moon landing? What do they mean? What is Star Trek Origins? What do they mean by that?
Nobody knows.
Overall,
they have a perfectly good script for the Romulan War, which sounds fabulous, but nobody seems to know how to make that.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It the guy who wrote it was on Inglorious Treksperts a year or two ago, and they talked about it, and sounded really, really good. And I don't know if it, I don't know if they could do a movie because I don't know if there'd be enough general interest. But
they covered it in Enterprise, though.
Well,
I have a question for you guys.
I think more. Go ahead, Larry.
No. Go ahead and finish. I'll
but I think this would be kind of more in more detail or more. I don't know. Much better look at it.
Okay, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
So Larry, quiz us.
Yes, sir. So Q is this omnipotent being that tasks Picard and crew at least once a season, if memory serves.
At least.
And fans always wanted to say that, the Q and the Q continuum, Trelane was part of that continuum. He was an omnipotent being, although an adolescent version.
Yeah.
And in Strange New Worlds, we're introduced to their concept of Trelane.
Yeah.
And Q was a mother humper, introduced the Borg to the Federation.
Right.
Cisco lost his wife because of that confrontation at Wolf 359.
Right.
Millions of citizens in the Federation were either assimilated or killed in battle. Q was a bad dude. He was a dangerous dude. And how is it that he's Trelane's father now, saying, "Oh, Trelane,
Well,
Don't
see, they
mess with
never
these
said that was
humans.
Q. They just had John.
No,
Demansky
it
do the
just
voice.
happened to be the guy's voice. I mean, it's they got the same actor, I think, just for
That was just
fun.
kind of
No,
fan
that's been
service to
confirmed.
it.
That's Q, and Trelane is Q's son. They've linked the characters together. That's Q, and
So I
Trelane
hate to say
is
this,
Q's
Lord
son.
Blood-Rah, but are you telling me that's canon?
Yeah, now it is. Now it is for some reason. Q has always been. I liked him when they first introduced him, and then it seemed like anytime they needed to have something metaphysical or universe changing, they would bring Q in. Then he became this almost the butt of a joke.
He was
after
like
a
an
while.
imp as they went on,
Yeah.
naked on the bridge because he got
Right.
kicked out of the continuum and
Mr. Mixes Pitlick.
Right.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then he dies in Picard 2? Huh?
He
And
got
comes back
better.
at the end of
He got
Picard
better.
3?
Well,
What?
but the Q are also like the Q are one and the Q are plural and the Q are many. And
Right.
so the Q that was Q Trelane's father might not necessarily be the same Q that
Yeah.
we saw before, even if it was
Yeah.
the same voice. I don't know. It's
Yeah. The Q
beyond
has always
our
been
paycheck.
an unexplainable enigma. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
it's the Q.
It didn't bother me as much as the Guardian Forever showing up in Discovery and
terrible.
taking the Empress
Yeah.
Showing up as a person.
as a person
Yeah.
with the cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Maybe, like I used to say with the original series, they'd be like, hey, what's filming, in the other studio? We're doing a German picture. Borrow those Nazi uniforms. We're going to do a Nazi episode for Star Trek.
Get those, yeah.
The planet was taken over by.
The thing is, so they do a lot of this genre jumping or whatever you want to call it, where let's do a murder mystery, let's do a musical or whatever. But I think part of the issue, and I don't particularly enjoy it, but I think part of the issue is we only get like 10 episodes per season, and then you're sitting there for what was it, 2 years between seasons this last time, something like that. It was quite a while. And you realize, we had like 26, 24 episodes usually with all our other old Star Trek seasons. So you had a dilution factor. If you had trouble with tribbles, you still had like 23 other episodes where you could say, okay, that one was kind of corny and goofy, but we got all these other. But like this last season, there were at least 3 really goofy, weird episodes out of 10. So that's like 30% of the episodes that are like,
And the producers have acknowledged. They've said, oh, okay, we get it. We went out on too many limbs for this season. The next one will be better. I don't know how they can say that because the next season's already been shot. They've already shot the next season, and we've got the puppet episode coming up.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I know.
And that's interesting. That's the one they advertise.
Same with Chris Hemsworth admitting that, with Thor 4, they went like way off
That's
a
a good
limb.
point,
and
Bob.
like,
Right.
Yeah.
And he said, going forward, they won't do that. But they said, they were just having fun. And, I thought it was funny at the time. Like when you're talking to somebody and you have sort of an inside joke, and you tell that inside joke to somebody else, and they kind of look at you like,
what? Yeah.
Huh? It's not funny. Yeah. To you guys, it's funny, but to us, it's not funny. So, I think same thing. They were having fun, and they went too far, and they realized they have to like reel it back a little bit in the next season. But they've got a season and a half to figure things out, I guess.
Yeah, I think they've got 16 more episodes total. They've got the next season is going to be 10 episodes, and then the final season is going to be a truncated 6-episode season. So I think I'm still firmly convinced that they're lining it up with the original series. So they've got some work to do. I mean, I think. I mean, like I've said, Spock's heart is going to have to be stomped on and ground to powder over the next few episodes. I think that's going to be painful to watch. Scotty's got to man
age.
up. I mean, Scotty, when they first brought Scotty on, I thought, okay, this is going to be a brash, young, confident Scotty, and he's not. He's not. He's not sure of himself. He's not. Not that a young Scotty would be necessarily as sure of himself as older Scotty, but I didn't understand why he was kind of sneaking around. Like the holodeck episode, Space Hour Adventure. Why does he go secretly to Uhura and tell her we've got a problem?
Because nobody follows chain of command, for one thing, in this show.
Well,
that does bug me.
He's not the head of engineering. So it's like, okay, can I overstep my bounds, or do I have to keep my place?
Well, wasn't Pelia away or something for that episode? She wasn't on the show.
That's her
Don't
name.
remember. But I mean, basically, he's feeling his way along. He's trying to figure out his place in life, and she's the one who's trying to bolster him up.
Well, I think they're basing him more on Simon Pegg's Scotty than on Jimmy Doohan's Scotty. It feels like to me.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But let me ask you guys this. I'll do a Larry. Let me ask you this. Do you think that by the end of these, 16 episodes, are we going to end up with Pike still a, happy, healthy Pike, or are we going to have the accident that wipes him? And that would be a pretty awful way to end the series.
I think it depends on where they take those last 6 episodes. Because obviously what happened to Pike happened after Kirk took over the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Probably a year or something after?
A couple of years, I think.
Yeah. After Kirk took over the Enterprise. So, are we going to, in that last season, is Kirk going to take over? And then Pike is kind of a side story, and then gets into the situation where he's going to be disfigured and wind up in a blinky chair. Or
I think it's going to end
blink
with,
one for yes and twice for no.
Right. I think that it's going to end with Pike turning command of the Enterprise over to Kirk. I think that's going to be, if not the final scene in the final episode.
I think Pike will address the cadets whom he will teach and sacrifice his life to save them.
That's good.
And I think that's where it ends.
That's very good.
Well, they have to work the cage in there somewhere, though, right?
It's already happened.
I have a question.
Vina was in there, but
he's met her already.
Because she contacted him telepathically, across space.
Yeah. Right.
And drew him back to Talos. Let me ask you. The girlfriend who's a captain who became a statue.
Patel.
Why?
It sounds silly when you say it like that.
I'm sorry, that's what I saw. And not only did she become a statue, but she'd always been a statue. So think about that, kids.
Oh.
Why did she not appear to Pike on Talos when Spock took him back, if she was in fact his one true love?
Well, because Vina was the physical person that was there.
But she could have been anyone.
And she could change and look like her, but
she could have been Patel. Ooh.
Yeah, by the
based
end
on
of
his memory,
by the end of the cage or the menagerie, or whichever version you want to look at, she became her true self, undisfigured or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was the person that he fell for. So when he goes back, that's what she looks like. She's not putting on a disguise or an air or anything else. She's not trying to look like, if you have a first wife and you get a second wife, that second wife is not going to try to look like the first wife, right? It's like, she's going to be
the guy is weird and forces her to dress.
That's a horror movie plot.
Well,
then that's like Vertigo, right?
Vertigo, right.
Wow.
Is it Vertigo?
Forgot my point. Next question.
I'll say I would like to see more of the Pike and Spock relationship. Like to see that develop a little bit more, because if Spock is willing to mute and kind of betray Kirk and do all these things to get Pike to tell us for, I'd like to see a little bit more of a deeper relationship and that loyalty. Because so far I don't really see.
Now they did have that scene in this season where Kirk and Spock are playing chess, and it starts to set up their dynamic.
Yeah.
Well, not only did they play chess, but there was this massive mind meld so that they could do this space ballet with the starships.
It was awful.
My question also, and I guess I'm nitpicking, but if Kirk has served under Pike for many, many times based on what I've seen over the past couple of seasons, why couldn't Spock just go to Kirk and say, hey, we need to go do this thing for Pike. You care about it as much as I do.
He's getting court-martialed for it. He didn't want to drag Kirk into that.
Right. It would have been the death penalty.
Yeah.
For Kirk, he didn't want to invite him into that. And also, Kirk hasn't served on the Enterprise yet. He's just been hanging around.
He just visits once in a while.
He visits once in a while. He comes on board. The transporter knows him so well, they threw him on the holodeck.
Well, his brother's serving there, so
his brother's serving.
He visits his brother once in a while.
Yeah.
And Lon.
By the time they get Kirk commanding the Enterprise, they actually have like rules and regulations on the ship,
Yeah. And I wonder how much of it, because already like twice this season, Ortegas got smacked down for basically lying, not following orders.
Stepping out of line.
And then Uhura fudges the numbers on whether or not they could rescue Ortegas, and Pike is okay with it. I had a problem with that. I like that he turned to her and said, you fudged the numbers. I understand. You did a bad thing for a good reason. But he should have followed it with, there'll be a written reprimand.
Right. He doesn't do that stuff.
No.
And like when he finds out his buddy M'Benga murdered a guy, he's like, it's okay. We won't tell anybody. I'd have to fill out forms.
Is Pike a good captain?
I don't think so.
Is he a good captain? I think he's a very compassionate man. I think he's a very good diplomatically. They say when we meet him in Discovery that the Enterprise didn't fight in the Klingon War because they were holding back their flagship because he represented, something symbolically important about the Federation. Maybe he's not that great a battle captain. It's just Pike doesn't need to be.
It's more the ship than the captain.
I guess so. But I mean, he's done some great things. I think his biggest shining. Wait a minute, they did an entire episode on him screwing up history, where older Pike comes back.
Yes.
And doesn't have the accident and causes a whole other Romulan war.
Right.
So they've acknowledged themselves. He's good in certain circumstances, but not a good battle captain or tactician or things like that. Where he really shined was that, I'll never remember the title, but the diplomatic episode where they're on the starbase and they're dealing with this alien species trying to talk them into joining the Federation. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of cracks the code.
Season?
Huh?
Was that the first season?
I think that was first season.
Yeah.
That's where he really shined.
Yeah.
Cracking that communication code with them. Maybe that's his best place. Maybe he's,
Well, Picard, I mean, I have my reasons why Kirk is better than Picard t-shirt, for a joke. But it's true. Every captain has different characteristics, different qualities. Yeah. We used to always say, well, Picard is the diplomat, right? He tries to work with these people and tries to,
they say Picard never fought a Gorn.
But as the show went on, Picard wound up, well, I want to go down to the planet. He started getting a little more fisticuffs in it.
There are 4 lights.
Well, and in the movies.
Right. He did a lot because he wanted to be. He's like, well, why is Shatner having all the fun? I want to do it.
Shatner never showed his buttocks on television. I have. So there.
But there's different style, and I think even that episode with, like you were talking about, where his future self came back and said, they were highlighting sort of different styles between Pike and Kirk.
Yeah.
Some missions call for this style, some missions call for that style.
Yeah. Let me ask Jeff, what do you think of Pike as a captain?
I don't know. I sometimes think if you're looking for somebody who's compassionate, who still can get the job done, I think he's good. If you're looking for somebody that just strictly goes by the rules, which is probably what this should be, Starfleet and all. It did bother me that Mbenga could kill the Klingon war criminal kind of guy and stuff, and not really get any flack for it and such. But I don't know. I like Anson Mount to the point that it's like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to dislike him.
I do like him as an actor. Let me ask you guys this. You're in Starfleet, you're on a starship. You could pick any captain to serve under. Who do you pick?
7 of 9.
Good answer.
That's a tough one. It kind of depends on the situation.
Yeah, I guess if you want someone who's going to save your butt, probably Kirk.
In thinking about it, I'm going to say Pike.
Pike?
Yeah, because I don't think I would be very good with military discipline. So I think that Pike's kind of looser command style, more of a building a family among the command crew rather than keeping it a distance the way Kirk does. I like that. It's not the best for all situations, but I like that.
All right.
I like that.
Walker.
Well, Kirk has quite the track record.
Yes.
As long as you're not wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
You're gonna go with the man?
Although Picard would be a very close second, And I like Cisco, but I also know Cisco is okay with committing genocide. So sometimes his temper gets the best of him.
What about Janeway?
I honestly can't really make a statement there because I haven't watched Voyager enough. I did finally make it through all the episodes, but yeah, not a huge Voyager fan.
Yeah.
I will say Benjamin Sisko because I do like that he did what had to be done.
Yeah.
And I don't know that any of the other captains would have done that. And it's because of him that we still have the Federation. In a television show, not in reality, obviously.
Okay, I was a little concerned for a minute there, but
Gotta get Larry reeling back in.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think Kirk would be a close second. Probably, neck and neck with Cisco. And he was the emissary, so serving under a deity.
And he punched Q in the face.
He did.
Punched Q in the face. Yeah, that was great. That was great. I don't have time for this.
Exactly.
Very good.
And gave it to Kai Wynn.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, folks, we are going into about an hour and a half.
Wow.
You know, our podcasts, we usually shoot for about, an hour. You guys, you have anything else to add with regards to Star Trek Strange New Worlds or otherwise?
I hope that the next season plays it a little more straight and narrow. Not that they don't take any chances. I'm fine with that. If, like the first and second season, they pull them off well and tie them into a cohesive, good story that furthers the characters and makes sense.
Just throw in a puppet here and there and you're good.
I can't, I couldn't figure out how they were going to do a musical and make it make sense.
That musical,
in my opinion, they did. I don't know what they're going to do with puppets.
I think the musical was like their version of Naked Time.
Exactly.
Because
that's absolutely true.
They're exploring everybody's personality and their feelings and all this other stuff. Yeah, it was a vehicle to bring all that out.
Yes.
Which I always question the original series, doing that episode so early in the season. Yeah, I was like, what, the second or third episode after Mantrap?
Very early.
It was very early.
TNG did the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great way to introduce the characters, totally take down their defenses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Deep Space Nine missed out on that when they did the hopscotch episode, but that's for another episode to discuss. What I would like to do is once this series wraps up, let's all get back together and give our final, overall thought of how it went, how it ended, the impact that it had to us with regards to Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Is anyone looking forward to Starfleet Academy next year?
I'm optimistic. I love Paul Giamatti.
I'll give it the rule of 3. I'll watch the first 3 episodes and see what it does for me. Like Lower Decks, I gave Lower Decks 3 episodes and it didn't work. Star Trek Prodigy did work for me. So
yeah, Star Trek Prodigy. Yeah, but science fiction series notoriously have a hard time getting going. But
some series take longer than 3 episodes to really hit their stride.
Yeah.
Look,
sometimes it's like
doesn't have time for this. All I have is 3 episodes.
I watched the first 4 or 5 Lower Decks and was just like, okay, I get it. You're referring back to everything and making jokes. Got it.
I
couldn't get into it.
No, I couldn't either.
I did have my nieces because I did the rule of 3 with the One Ring, the Lord of the Rings thing, and I'm like, it's not happening for me. And my nieces are like, no, watch the next 3 episodes, and then stuff happens. And so, Bob, you're right. There are certain series that you do need to invest a little more time than 3, but generally it's.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a series that you did your rule of 3 and then we talked you into giving it another chance? I don't remember what it was, but
maybe the Lord of the Rings comes to mind right away. But
no, I have nothing to do with Lord of the Rings.
Just give it 3 episodes, Bob.
Mine's the rule of nothing.
I watched the first season.
I got bored by the movies. I'm not watching the TV show.
So look, as long as Strange New Worlds doesn't end with them all becoming statues because they all were statues.
They were always been statues.
I'm okay.
Well, they will never match the final episode of Newhart.
Oh, that's true.
I was just going to say
Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe the final scene will be Pike waking up in bed next to Patel saying,
if you want to see something hilarious, check out the last episode of the Drew Ferguson show.
The
Drew Ferguson.
Right, Craig Ferguson. No, it's
Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson.
Oh, Craig Ferguson. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Drew Ferguson. Craig Ferguson. Check out the last episode of his show.
Hey, you're talking to the man that was talking about Jeff Zimbalist Jr. Ephraim. Anyway,
but somebody else did a parody of
on
that
Star
too.
Trek.
What's that?
Yeah, someone else did do a parody of
Yeah.
Bob Newhart. I can't remember who it was now.
Well, no, he did it where it's like, because he played Drew Carey's boss in the Drew Carey Show.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the last episode of his talk show, same thing like Newhart. He wakes up in the bed and he's like, honey, I had this dream, and Drew Carey pops up in the bed.
Yeah. I think it was What We Do in the Shadows.
I haven't.
They did a play on that.
I think I
haven't
watched the
finished
movie
that.
thing, and I never watched the series. But
I have to catch up with that.
I miss that series. I would look so forward to it.
I miss it too. It was beyond horror and comedy.
Jackie Daytona.
New York City.
Yes. Let's have some chilaquiles.
see, that's like what I'm talking about inside jokes.
Yes,
You know, those other people, and they just like.
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows fans got it.
Yeah.
Are you saying this is our Thor 4 episode?
Getting there.
Yeah, they made 4 of those, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Taika Waititi's like in the background here somewhere.
Well, guys,
let him next to a Marvel movie.
This was a lot of fun, and to you guys out there, we're sorry we were gone for so long. Bob had stuff to do for the Godzilla Con.
Don't blame me.
Hopefully you guys made it out there. It was a lot of fun. We're not going to have a censor sweep this go round because the episode.
But wait, I've got some cool stuff.
We knew the episode was going to go long, but again, comment. We're out on all the social medias, so find us out there, Planet 8, and we'd love to hear from you. Strange New Worlds or Star Trek or Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. I don't know.
Or Thor 4.
Yeah, that's right.
Love and Silliness. What was it called?
Good to be back with Bob and Karen. Good to have Lord Blood-Rah and Jeff with us. We have some episodes planned coming up that are going to be a lot of fun, and these guys will be hopefully joining us for some more of that. You know what? I know we weren't going to do a censor sweep, but this is coming out.
Larry's got some cool stuff.
What?
October 8th. Look at Lord Blood-Rah's schedule. He has some awesome shows coming up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to come to the Orinda in California.
Excellent.
And yeah, it's been a long time. I had some friends who were like, hey, does Lord Blood-Rah still do the movies at the winery? And I'm like, I gave him the whole story about Chenard, but they might be at the Orinda. So
beautiful.
Well,
yeah.
Tell everybody. Larry brought it up. Tell everybody what's going on at the Orinda.
October 25th at the Orinda Theater in Orinda, California. We're doing Lord Blood-Rah's Halloween party. So we'll have some vendors there in the lobby, some custom cocktails. The theater has a full bar. There'll be a tarot palm reader there for your enjoyment. And then the movie we'll be showing is the classic anthology, The House That Dripped Blood. So that's October 25th. Go to lordbloodrah.com and you'll get all the information there. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that.
Yeah, totally. And you might see a couple of us knuckleheads there as well. So if you do come up and say hi.
I hope so.
Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please spread the word. Planet 8's back. And we appreciate you guys. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Again, Jeff, Lord Blood-Rah, Karen, Bob, good to have you guys. Good to see you guys. And,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Live long and prosper. This is Planet 8 signing out.
On that note, this will conclude this transmission from Planet 8. We would like to thank all of our intergalactic audience for listening. Be sure to head on over to our website at www.planet8podcast.com, where you can get more information on this episode's topic.
For more conversation, find us on Twitter at Planet8Cast.
Or on Facebook at facebook.com/Planet8Podcast.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in each and every episode. We look forward to your input and opinions. Until next time, this is Planet 8 signing off. End transmission.
By George, he's got it. It is the end.